I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's stop this conversation. Let's stop this conversation. We got no relation.
All right, it's Monday. Hello, and welcome to the Roommates Podcast. It's Monday already.
Yep.
Took no time at all. And we are back at it again. That's a cool song. I like that one.
I know. I'm
Save
still
Me.
jamming.
Yep, still jamming with it.
I'm going
You
to
like
put that on my workout playlist.
It's called Save Me, featuring Svinilvan.
Oh,
Classic.
classic.
Like Svinilvan.
All right, then.
Nice.
Very nice.
That's what it says. And, yeah, weekend blew by really fast. And I can't believe we're already here again. Before we know it, we're going to be in, it's going to be Christmas before you know it.
Yep.
Seems like we just had Thanksgiving, but it's because the fire's underneath us and change is imminent. It's going by really fast.
That's very true.
Very, 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 very fast. But we have a loaded show today. A lot to talk about. Main things that we can talk about are have to do with Nicole, which we usually don't even do because usually
I feel like the
at the
stuff
end
that I'm
of the show it becomes a tech talk or something like that,
Yeah.
and you get excluded.
Well, it's okay. I feel like a lot of the stuff that I'm interested in, you guys like. Well, I know you and I have a line of shared interests.
Yes.
But a lot of the stuff I'm interested in, Dave could really care less about, and vice versa. So
That's true.
I just kind of keep it in. But exciting stuff this week. All of my hustles have been going really well. That's what I've been calling them instead of like jobs.
Yes.
Because I've been busting ass, but I've been doing stuff that I really like. I started, making natural skincare stuff, and right now I just did it as Christmas gifts for people, but eventually, once the recipes are perfected, I'll be starting up that business. And then I've been doing chart readings for people and roast videos for people on their astrology stuff, which is kind of my bag, baby.
That's definitely your bag, baby.
So I've been doing that. And then I started also as another little side hustle, walking dogs and dog sitting for people. So
yeah, and that's an app called
yeah,
Rover.
yeah, I've been using Rover to do that. And I was just like, I like being around dogs. So I'm just going to sign up for this. And I did my first 2 walks yesterday with 2 big pit bulls, and it was amazing. And then I got another job this morning, so
That's amazing.
loving it.
Yeah, I had a stammering issue there. I was like having a stroke, but that was me going from the YouTube app over, like closing the YouTube app and then being like, okay, what do we got? What do we got? Come on, Google Docs, get the show notes open. And then they finally did. So that's the reason why I had a stroke, but I'm sorry. I'm back.
I'm used to it. It didn't bother me. Didn't
Okay.
faze me.
Wonderful. So as far as walking the dogs go, what was the main gist of it when you got there? Like,
Oh, like what happened?
Yes.
Yeah, I was so nervous because I was like, I don't know how this works with these people. I don't know them. I just show up at their house. I'm like, are they going to be home?
it seems like it would be a very weird thing because you're using an app and you get your
right.
It's like
it was
Tinder
like
for
dating.
dogs.
Yes, it was weird.
That's what I was gonna say.
But it was actually really awesome. It was way better than I expected. He was there. The man was there when I got there, and he just showed me, where they keep the keys, where, how to get into the house, because he wasn't going to be there in the evening when I walked him. And he just shot me a text and was like, hey, do you mind? I filled up their food bowls before I left. Can you just set it out for them? One eats in this room, one eats in the other room. And I was like, sure. We walked, and they pay for like a certain time amount of walking. But what I noticed, because he said their normal walker was like on vacation, whatever. I don't even know if anybody cares about this. But I told Jeff, I was like, I think she was an older lady because I walked those dogs and 15 minutes in, they were dead. Like they were like, no more.
They're
I felt
not
like I
used to
was
it.
dragging them. They were like, this is too fast. They were like panting. One's trying to lay down and stop. I was like, he wanted me to walk him for an hour. We're 15 minutes in, like 2 miles. No, not 2 miles. It was like a mile and a half. But we did almost 6 miles yesterday. It was like 5.6 miles that I walked just those 2 dogs.
Wow. We are the pack leader of a German Shepherd, so.
But I just told them they were tired and dead. However, they do make you do like a background check to do this. Obviously, if you're getting into people's houses, it's like the Amazon delivery thing.
Yes.
Like, I go in when they're not home, but you do have to have a background check. And like I paid more to get an extensive background check so that they would know like I've never committed any crimes.
But it happened very quick for you. You had just put that out there, and then not even a week later, you got your first job.
Yeah.
That was
I love it.
really fast.
Florida's the place for outdoor jobs, man. It's so nice.
And when we move to Tampa, there won't be any shortage of that because there's plenty of people in Tampa that have
So that's what I've been doing. I've been staying real busy.
That's good.
Staying off the internet a lot. It's such a transition for my life, and I love it.
Big news was that the YouTube Rewind came out.
Yay!
And, of course, people are all upset about something. Me, personally, I liked it. I thought it was great. It's like they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. They either do what people want, and last time they were very vocal about what they wanted, and they do it this year, and they're like, it was under budget. It was, or they didn't try hard enough or something.
Sorry, I prefer a stats heavy. Just give me the list. Tell me who was the top of everything. That's exactly what I wanted. That's what they did. That's all I wanted. That's it. They did it. I loved it. I watched it 5 times.
Well, and it was a lose-lose situation for them. No matter, like you said, no matter what they did, somehow it was going to get a lot of hate. And I kind of agree with some of the popular opinion that is it needed anymore, because when they started it, there was less than 100 channels with over 1 million subscribers.
Right.
So it was a showcase of these are the biggest. Now there's an overwhelming amount, so that they either need to break it into categories and regions, or it just needs to go away, in my opinion.
I disagree. I don't think it hurts anybody. It doesn't harm anybody. If you don't want to watch it, you don't watch it. Which I was like already like, I don't think I'll watch it. But then you said it was good, and I was like, I watched it, and I was like, yeah, you're right, it was good. And I think it's cool because there's a lot of people in the Rewind that are massive channels that I've never heard of before. So I was like, well, that's cool. Well, and that's a good way for people to know who's out there.
Except that it's
people
very
saying,
limited.
just don't do it. Just don't fucking watch it.
I
Make your
agree
own
with that.
video. That's
Don't
why there
watch
are
it.
so many fan-made Rewind videos. Go watch those. Go make your fucking own. I don't know.
That one you showed me was great.
Oh, the editing on it was amazing. It was the YouTube All Stars.
The Legends.
The Legends, yes.
Yeah,
that was well done.
I liked that.
It was real good.
And like when I say like, okay, like I'm not saying like, oh, they just shouldn't do it, whatever. But I feel like there are so many big creators out there that having it in categories or regions, I think would be better, because I do like learning about new channels. But when
They broke it down into categories. I believe they did.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm only care really about gaming and tech side of YouTube. So like, I'd rather have a 10-minute rewind of only the gaming channels and not the
not
others.
me.
But that's me.
That's not
So
me, 'cause
then-
I like YouTube as a whole.
But you already know watching the YouTube Rewind that it's not going to be just gaming.
I know.
So
that.
watching it and being disappointed about that is really dumb.
I'm not disappointed. Like I didn't watch it and I wasn't like, oh, I'm disappointed or I'm mad or this was awful. I watched it and I was like, okay, this is good. They played it. They did play it safe. They did what people wanted. It was just stats, which is great.
Yeah.
But I feel like if they broke it down, we could get a couple of those, and then you could learn about even more people, and it would be a better showcase of creators than the top half percentage of the platform, essentially.
But the thing is I get that, but they were just going off of stats. I mean, and that's the thing. People can be like, I've never heard of this person before, and I've seen other podcasts, unfortunately, doing that. But they go, I've never heard of this person. It doesn't mean that they're not relevant just because you don't know who they are.
Yeah,
it's not a huge deal.
When they're getting billions of views a month.
Yes.
Just because you haven't heard of
YouTube's
them.
like, these are the stats. And it's like, T-Series is in here? Yeah, T-Series is a massive, massive channel. And yes, they do. So, yeah, I believe that they deserve to be in the Rewind because They're part of the YouTube platform. One thing that I did notice in the rewind that nobody really has talked about too much was that there were no toy channels. You notice that? Those are big. But with this new COPPA law thing, I think it was Ryan's Toy Channel or whatever his name is.
Have they ever showed kid channels in the
No, but if
rewind?
they were going to show just raw data of like these are the views, then those toy channels would have been on there for sure. But they struck them 100%. They removed them.
I couldn't name one toy channel.
Yes. I think it was Ryan something. He's the one that has the little toys that are in...
Kinder Eggs?
No. He has his own toy line that was in Hot Topic.
Ryan's unboxing or something. Yeah, he might not be 7 now, but he was 7 when the channel started. He was last year the highest paid YouTuber in the world.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, and he's just a kid that opens toys and other kids watch it. But with the new COPPA laws,
Ryan's Toys Review.
Yeah. YouTube is distancing themselves from child's content.
No, I know 100%. So in the rewind, stats are stats, and they're massive. But since the COPPA law thing came out, done. They are absolutely done.
Well, I wonder if under COPPA, if they're even allowed to boast those, because they're not supposed to collect data on people under the age of 13. Now, showing that a video gets 1 billion views, that's not collecting data on kids. But at the same time, I wonder if I feel like they're just keeping far away from that.
So, speaking of kids opening toys, can we please get away from this? Thank you. It is almost Christmas. And I was doing a little... Well, actually, I was just thinking about my childhood Christmases, and I started looking into popular toys throughout the years. And there was a little debate going on about which toy was the first toy to cause, what is that Christmas
Hysteria.
toy frenzy? Where everybody has to have it. Well, this was the first toy that technically caused violence in stores over Christmas, demands, was the Cabbage Patch doll.
I do remember those.
1983. People were debating that it was the Star Wars toys. However, nobody was violently injured over the Star Wars toys. It was just mostly because apparently they had a very a shortage of the toys because they came out they had just come out with the movie and then didn't realize how popular the first movie was going to be. So they didn't make, enough toys to reach the demand. But as far as Christmas frenzy goes, it was a Cabbage Patch doll, which I had a Cabbage Patch doll.
We did too, yeah.
I actually got one, and it wasn't what I wanted. I didn't want a Cabbage Patch doll.
No.
Because I have dimples, and so, people used to make fun of me all the time and be like, oh, you're like a little Cabbage Patch kid. I hated those fucking things. But I got one. And then the next toy was in the 90s, the Tickle Me Elmo
I do remember that.
I remember that one.
Yeah, we were all... of age to remember that was in the late 90s.
Yes.
It was bad.
It was 96 or probably 97. Or it was less
I thought
than
it was
that, actually.
I thought it was 98, but either way, it was in the late 90s. And then I don't know which other toys caused violence, but I know that as a child, one of the toys that I remember hearing about and I wanted one really bad was a Furby.
Oh, yes.
Uh-huh.
And I got one, even though they were also there was so much controversy around those toys because they were they're demonic and
They're
programmed to be
data.
sane. Oh my God. There was getting a Furby was traumatic, but awesome.
Well, once today probably are scraping your data and creating ads off of what they hear you say.
I think Barbie got in trouble for something like that a few years ago because it would phone home to a server. Yeah, no. The best part about Furbies was you could take your friend's Furby and teach it words that they shouldn't have known. So, no. So I'm not switching the camera over to me right now because
I'm just sitting here with a blank face for the last minute and a half.
So those listening, this isn't going to be a concern. But again, problems every week. It appears that my microphone is making weird popping every time the camera comes to me. And I'm trying to figure out what that is. So
I think it's your phone.
No, it is not. While I'm discussing things, I will put the camera on one of you guys so you can just
Great.
Cool.
We'll get your reaction to my nonsense.
All right.
So
It doesn't even make any sense why that would do that.
Well, I'm looking into
Well,
it.
this is the Technical Difficulties podcast.
Yes.
There's got to be something over there that's causing some sort of interference on that line. Yeah, I have no idea, but I do know that anything that it doesn't like, if it gets near a cable, it will go. Bzzz.
So what I wanted to know from you two, aside from
Yes.
what the show is shitting on this week, is what were the toys that you like really, 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 really wanted, or when you got, you were like so jazzed about as a kid?
Remote control fire truck, and it was in like the J.C.
How old
Penney
were you?
catalog. I want to say I was like, I don't remember, 7, 8.
So like pretty young.
Yeah. It might have been actually a little later than that. But anywho, the J.C. Penney catalog, I don't know if you remember that. The J.C. Penney catalog would do the toys, and then you would have like, you could go through the whole thing and pick out what you wanted to do and all that. And I always was like, this is what I want, the remote control fire truck. It was always there. And I never thought it was going to happen. It was one of those things that my parents actually ended up giving me by Santa Claus, and it was hidden at the very, very last site. Like it was like a Red Ryder BB gun, kind of like pull it at the very last second.
I forgot about that.
Yes, and they purposely waited until I thought that I didn't get it, and then when I did, I was like, well, yeah, that was the best thing pretty much ever.
Aww.
Yeah, and I owned it until I was probably 23 or 24. And it broke because it was in like a bin where all the other toys are. And then we had like kids coming over, and I was like, well, I don't play with my toys anymore, so they could play with the toys, and they broke it. And I was like, that really sucks.
Yep.
But it is what it is. But it was attached, had a cord to it, and you could operate the ladder and everything. But I mean, I love this thing so much that when I got it, it was a week. I would have it like right next to the bed. I go to sleep and look at it up against the wall. Like I just have a deep attachment towards toys.
I don't remember wanting many toys as a kid. I mean, I got some pretty cool toys. I was telling my mom about one. She said when she was a kid, it used to be called Lemon Twist. When
Yeah.
I was a kid, it was called Skip It. And it was a giant piece of plastic with a swinging thing on the end. You put it around your ankle and you like swung it around and had to jump over it every time it swung around. And it would automatically count how many. Anyway, thinking about it now like gives me arthritis. But as a kid, I loved that. And I went through 2 of them because I just constantly was playing with that thing.
And they were flimsy
was
as hell.
They were awful. They were so cheap.
Super cheap ring that went around your calf. And then that little line of plastic was tiny, would snap easily.
Yes.
But the thing at the end was just so heavy. They just didn't think, they were like, well, you can swing it around.
Well, you weren't supposed to swing it. It had a rolling rubber piece,
Yeah,
so
the
it was
black
supposed
little
to
strip.
stay on the ground. You kept
Right.
it around your ankle. It was supposed to roll on the ground.
Oh, I knew friends that had them and they didn't do that. They just, whip them as fast as you can around in circles.
Well, I mean, of course, when you get it going fast enough, it's not going to stay on the ground. But it's so you're supposed to kind of let it go slower, and so you can just jump over it, But I loved that thing, and but I was always the kid who asked for books, and like I wanted those activity books always,
Mm-hmm.
like where you fill out math questions. It was basically homework books. That's what I wanted as a kid.
I'm sorry.
So fucked up. What is wrong with me?
I'm sorry. Do you want a Cabbage Patch Doll instead?
Ew,
you can say
people.
your
Oh, that's another
dimples.
thing. Every year for Christmas, this started when I was 7 or 8. Somebody got me a porcelain doll.
Oh,
And I was
yeah.
fucking terrified. I hated it. It was like
My
one of my
sister had one.
great somebody's great aunt or a great grandma. And I was like, oh no, I hate it. But I was nice enough to be like, oh, I love it. Every single year, somehow that became the thing. Everybody's like, Nicole loves porcelain dolls. By the
Oh,
time I
no.
moved out of my parents' house, I was like 17, 18. I had almost 30 porcelain dolls, and they were all just like hidden in my closet. I couldn't fucking stand them. They scared the shit out of me.
My sister had
Worst Christmas
one of
gifts.
those that my grandma actually got her,
Hated that.
and she always had that porcelain doll. But yeah, she only had one. That was it.
30. I had damn near 30.
30? That's like,
It's too much.
no.
My whole closet, every shelf along the entire shelf was just boxes and loose dolls everywhere, and then smaller ones, and oh, it was awful. Oh my, it was awful.
Oh.
I wish I had them now. I would probably like cut their heads off and like make some
Hang
art.
'em
But
That's not crazy.
growing up, I
psycho
thought they
killer
were going to
talk.
kill me in the middle of the night. I remember opening my closet door and like telling the dolls like, "Hey, please don't kill me in my sleep. I promise I'm cool with you. You can live with me. Just please don't kill me. I would like have
That would be
conversations
terrifying.
with
That
them.
that's very terrifying that they would keep getting them for you. That's really bad.
Did you ever speak up?
Yes. When I was about 14 and I had about a dozen of them, I was like, this has to stop. These are scary and I don't like them. And it's just
Reminds
that
me
by
of the-
then everybody was so old and senile that all they know is Nicole loves porcelain dolls. And so all the
Forever.
old, it was the old people that were buying them
Right.
for me. It wasn't the like my aunts and uncles, and it was like great aunts and great uncles and great grandparents. They just kept buying me porcelain dolls.
All they could remember was Nicole, porcelain doll. And they're like, okay, get her that. They don't remember why that you're connected to it, but that's, yeah.
Ugh.
It reminds me of the Judy doll in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, jeez.
I don't remember that.
The hair. He cut the hair.
Oh
Or
God.
told her to cut the hair, and she did. Oh man. So we live in the outskirts of Orlando, quite a ways out, and I think the closest town to us is Apopka, and we've driven down and gone to the fireworks in the 4th of July of last year. We didn't go this year because it was last year, I believe, and it was such a failure because they didn't have a fireworks show. The reason why we're bringing this up is because we attempted to go out and be social again and go to a town event.
Yeah, the
Because
community tree lighting.
yes, a community tree lighting that was supposed to have a winter wonderland where they shoot out nothing but snow, real snow.
They had advertised
Fake
they were
snow.
bringing in this company who does artificial environments,
Correct.
and they were supposed to. It was like a huge deal that they were making of this It was called the Apopka Winter Wonderland tree lighting.
Yes, there was no
Whatever.
winter wonderland. We showed up and we gave some money to charity and got a beer off of it and walked around, and there was no snow. Now there were children. Lots of children.
There was enough children.
Was that advertised?
Oh,
No, but I knew it would be. It was going to be a family event. But they had a main stage, and it was and they had like a choir up there.
the
and then-
elementary school choir.
yeah, and then they had a Christian school recorder, basically concerts.
Yes.
And they were doing Jingle Bells.
Jingle
And I was
Bells.
like, whoa, that is the wrong
so
note.
what? This is my favorite part about that. When the recorders start playing, all the parents that don't have a kid playing a recorder move. They're like, fuck this, get away.
Dude, they were.
It sounded bad. Me and Jeff are the two without kids
I went straight to it.
fighting through the crowd to get up to the front of the stage to hear this fucking
Yes.
recorder concert.
Because they're going doo, 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 and then they would hit the wrong note. It would go,
There was somebody like,
da. But no, they went way low instead of up
There
on
were
a
few-
massive note.
Dude, I don't know. It was lovely.
And they were squealing.
Bless their
And there were
hearts.
supposed to be a bunch of food trucks, which we counted 3.
And one was only donuts and coffee.
One was only donuts and coffee. So we went and we did this whole thing, and it's like, man, I mean, the amount of what they pulled for the advertising of this thing. I mean, they got us to drive out and go to a town community event because I was like, how cool would it be to see snow? And I actually was going to vlog it, and I'm glad I didn't because there was no snow. But I was like, how cool would it be to see snow in Florida around Christmas? It was gonna be a whole thing with the tree lighting. It was cool. Went there, nothing. And this isn't the first time because we went to that fireworks display and
We went to the
nothing.
fireworks display and they put it off for a little over an hour, saying they were waiting to see what the weather did. It never rained.
No,
It never
it was
stormed.
perfectly clear.
They put it off for over an hour and then they go, sorry guys, we're not going to be doing the fireworks show this year. It's
What
canceled.
in the hell's
I'm like,
you have a feeling that there's some sort of conspiracy involved with this because they want to
That's
get
true.
they want to get all your money and all the people show up and then just blame it on something stupid.
I think they're too broke to do the events that they
Yes.
plan. So they plan these events so that people will come and spend money so that they can raise money to maybe eventually get to do an event. But I don't think that they have the budgets to do the things that they promise.
No, and this is the second time we've been burned by that community. I'm like, we're moving. So I was like, well, I mean, because I think at this point, I'd rather go downtown Orlando to do something than go to these little smaller towns.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like, I didn't know Orlando had a tree lighting event anywhere. But number 2, nowhere was it advertised that there would be snow. And that's the whole reason why we went,
Yep.
to go see snow.
And the recorder performance.
And that was amazing.
It was worth it.
That was 100% worth it. Oh, man. But, yeah, as far as winter goes, we have, it's kind of been an up and down roller coaster ride here because it's always cold in the house. It's either cold outside or it's warm outside. Cold outside, warm outside.
I keep it cold in the house because it's hot outside. It's almost 80 degrees outside.
Yeah, today it is.
So
but
I'm making my own winter wonderland in the house.
Yes.
It's good. Although we will be losing Dave soon. We'll be losing Dave soon.
We're losing Dave.
Dave will be leaving soon.
What day you leave?
I don't have a day. Well, so I'm flying back to St. Louis on.
That's what I'm asking.
Okay, so the 18th through the 30th, I'm spending in St. Louis with family.
18th.
And then when I get back, that's pretty much pack everything up and have till the end of the month to get out of town. So
Okay, so you'll be here on the next podcast.
yeah, I'll
but
be
not
here.
the one
I'll be here
after.
on the next podcast.
Okay, gotcha.
And the one after, it's literally right before Christmas. So
Mhm. It's the 23rd. 2 days before Christmas on a Monday.
Yep.
So, yeah. I don't think podcasts is going to change too much. I mean, if anything, we might miss one.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well,
Yeah.
that's where we're going to have to experiment with a new format. I was thinking like, oh, we'll just do it over Discord, but sometimes Discord's not reliable.
Yeah.
So I'm looking into alternatives to that.
I don't know if there is any alternatives besides Skype.
Well, there's one. It would have
Zoom.
no.
Zoom, zoom, zoom. Good body go boom, boom.
No.
Okay.
My supernova girl.
No, I'm looking in some stuff. So we'll have to see.
You said that last time. You're looking into stuff. I wondered if what
Dave's
it
always looking
was.
into
I can't
stuff.
remember the name of it because they rebranded. They got bought out, but
Okay.
it's a meeting software where all of us would be on screen at the same time.
Go to meeting.
No,
Oh, he's probably
Any
thinking
desk?
of that whatever Way was using.
a lot of the IRL community uses
Yeah,
it.
that's
but
what he's talking about.
it's-
Gotcha.
I mean, it works, so I'm gonna look into that. I kind of don't like some of the stuff about it, so I want to see if I can find an alternative.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
there's got to be video conferencing stuff
Well,
out there.
Discord is great as long as it works. We only need it for a couple hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, except that it has random cutouts for me constantly.
Except that we've had technical difficulties every fucking podcast.
Yes.
Like-
is true.
That is true, but it would.
All I'm saying is I think it's a little bit of user error.
I disagree, but I also am going to go for minimal damage on whatever we go with. So we'll do that.
Well, regardless, moving along. The one of the things that was trending on Twitter was the H3 is over party. H3 is obviously a YouTuber, but they have a podcast as well. And they made a big boo boo, and they got the K-pop community pissed off at them, amongst some other stuff. And I figured we would discuss this a little bit because we do a podcast ourselves, and when we comb through and find topics we want to talk about, we make sure that we educate ourselves on it as much as we can before we get on here.
But never as much as Dave.
Never as much as Dave. But regardless, the issue is that you can't make a blind statement about something, especially if it's like a racial slur or whatever, without expecting to get backlash from it. So they made the news in a bad way with that. Now, I did see that a lot of it was basically H3 saying that they had they were going for a joke.
It's always a joke.
It's always a joke and comedy, which, yes, if there is a reason to. Now, I did watch the podcast, so I would be educated on it. And it seemed like they were sitting there just talking, and then it seemed like he was he didn't understand it. So then they go into the, let's make fun of it mode instead of just
Right.
realizing that you're going to piss off a lot of people.
This is the problem with comedy, always.
Mm-hmm.
Comedians get in trouble for this all the time. That's not new.
Right, absolutely.
That's part of being a good comedian. If you want to market something very offensive as a joke, then the funny has to be the same level of offense, if not more.
Right.
And a lot of people, unfortunately, just say things that yeah, they might not mean or they'd like to be joking about it, but you have to take the time to make it a joke if you're going to say shitty things.
Right, and make it funny and kind of you can make fun of something if you roast it. Like, you know that more than anybody. You can roast it and it would be funny, but that's not what was happening. It was more like it was bad, and that's the reason why they're trending on Twitter. It wasn't because it was a joke; it was because it pissed off a lot of people. And then prior to that, there were some like slurs thrown towards, homosexuals and stuff. And that's just something we don't.
It was rough.
You don't touch with a 10-foot pole.
And you know what's funny is because we used to be like huge H3H3 fans, like when they were doing YouTube videos. And Ethan's always been like a really funny, quirky person, and I do enjoy them. But man, I don't know if it's ego or if it's ignorance or if what it is. But I'm like, shit, dude. Like you can only cross the line so many times before people are like, it's time to stop.
Yeah, actually, time to stop. And the only issue I have is just that, educate yourself on something if you're going to bring it up. And if you're going to roast it or you're going to make fun of it, at least know about it. You got to know something about it. Because
I do agree with that.
The stans are all upset from K-pop. And I was doing research and learning about that because I don't know anything about K-pop.
Come on, Jeffopedia.
I learned today all about K-pop. And that stan is actually like a stalker fan, but it actually originates from the Eminem song Stan. And they're all upset because he attacked K-pop. The other people are upset. The gay people are upset because he said that it was for twinks and he fetishized it and said little girls were. It was bad. It was bad. It was bad taste.
It was pretty rough. It wasn't funny.
It was not good.
But
no.
It was even more uncomfortable to me. This is where I feel bad for because it's not just him on the podcast. There's a whole team of people, and they were fucking. I told Jeff it felt like he was a shit NATO, and they were trying to throw as many good things in there to balance it out as they could. They were like, Ethan, just shut up. Hila gets to that point now where she's like, don't say that. I can imagine that being really frustrating. That's why I said I don't know if it's his ego. He thinks he can say whatever he wants and get away with it, or if he's just that ignorant and doesn't understand that it's not coming across funny. It's just coming across stupid.
Right.
So.
Well, and we self-police ourselves here on this podcast. If one of us gets into a tangent and it's going bad, we're going to be like, whoa,
I'm not saying
brother.
like everybody else is like, we're not perfect. We, everybody slips up, but come on. It's just, come on.
Absolutely. Moving along from that, the Apple TV Plus was launched, and I had no really interest in it when it was announced. And then I saw the morning show was being advertised, and I was like, okay, Steve Carell, Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon. Those are three massive names to launch a platform. And we sat down, we watched, and we're caught up on it. The morning show, incredible. It was an incredible show. I think they really nailed it on the head with launching Apple TV Plus. Now, they did the whole thing where they don't allow you to binge. They put it out like every week, but we were able to binge up until episode 8. I think there's going to be 10 for the season. But they do that, like you were saying, Dave, that they don't want you to get your free trial in and just blow through a series and never come back.
Yeah, to watch the exclusive, be like, okay, saw it, don't want anything else, and then get out of there. So
yes, and you can't get it anywhere else. You can only watch it on there. And
it was
I have our trial
produced and funded by Apple to push their new TV service, which I was shocked to see that there is an Apple TV on a Roku device. I never thought that would be the case.
I think that's smart of them, though. Reach as many devices and as many different outlets as you can. Get it out there as much as you can, because they have way too much competition to be the normal Apple and be too like hipster to blend with everybody else.
And now in the very beginning of the show, it says Apple Original. So now they have the Apple Original. Now we have a Disney Plus Original. Now we have a Netflix Original, an Amazon Original. Eventually, everybody's just going to have their own originals. And from what I've seen so far, bravo to Apple TV. That was fantastic.
The
acting
show
is insane.
amazing.
It throws you for a loop. It was not what I was expecting at all.
I was about to say
It's a
we
drama.
don't normally watch dramas at all.
No, but this one sucks you in.
It's so good.
It's really good.
Shit.
And whenever I went to San Francisco on the plane, I watched on Netflix Dream Killer, and I told you a little bit about it, but you hadn't watched it. And we ended up sitting down and watching it last night, and Dave got to watch it too. So that one was crazy, and the whole time I knew the ending, and I didn't want to say it. And I don't know if you guys want to say it or not, but it's crazy because it opens that whole
I was
can of
having
worms.
a panic attack because I didn't know if it had a good ending or a bad ending.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's that whole can of worms of the making a murderer and.
Yeah, I was telling Jeff, I was pacing around last night and like sweating and freaking out because all the like anything having to do with injustice in the legal system really burns me pretty bad.
Well, it's at one point, Jeff, you stepped away and me and Nicole were just watching it, and about every 10, 15 minutes, Nicole would pause it and be like, I got to go to the bathroom, or I'm going to go over, and she would just get up and like move.
Pace.
And it's like,
It was working me up pretty hard.
yeah.
It's a pretty insane thing for somebody to go to jail for as long as they did and they didn't do anything. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like physical evidence, there's nothing there, and that the killer is still loose.
And
it's insane.
Well, Dave hasn't seen Making a Murderer, and you haven't seen When They See Us, have you?
Don't think so. No.
Jesus Christ.
No, it's not
Both
evil
the
geniuses.
same thing. But at least with When They See Us, they had put 5, like, I think it was in, it's been a while since I've seen it. I think they were in Harlem or something. But they charged 5, like, very young,
I did
12
watch
to
that with you.
13-year-old
Yes.
African-American boys for the rape of a woman that they had nothing to do with. They
Right.
spent, like, 20-something years in prison. At least they became millionaires when they got out because the state had to pay them back.
Yes.
Thank God. Not that that makes up for it, but
Definitely not.
it like makes me uncomfortable in my skin. It makes me uncomfortable like on the planet. Like it just
Yeah, and
dude,
what
it
I loved
fires
was
me up that they will do that to people. It's not okay.
no, it's not. And what I love is that Kathleen Zellner, she is all about that, and she's like, everybody's like, well, that wouldn't happen. She's like, oh, this can absolutely happen to you.
That's what she
It can
said.
happen to
There's
anybody.
over 2 million people in federal prisons, and
20,000
20,000 have been wrongly convicted.
Yep,
At
she's-
least, she said, to be extremely generous, at least 20,000 have been wrongly convicted.
Yes.
And how could they not? It's judged by people. People aren't machines. They're not fucking foolproof.
No, not at all. And that's why it's so important to, we talked about jury duty not too long ago when I had it. And it's like, it's so important in the legal system because there's so much on the line and you have to go off of what is actually there. They had no evidence. They just had key witness. That was it. And the witness they didn't even cross-examine them correctly. And that's the reason why they got the verdict the way they did. It's crazy.
It makes me sick. And then that one, of course, the one we watched, Dream Killer, happened in Missouri.
Columbia,
like 2.5 hours from where we are.
Yeah.
Where we're from. So that stuff just makes me bleh, not okay.
No. And that was it was interesting to hear. Like what I really liked about this documentary was him going into detail and talking about like prison life and stuff like that. I mean, a dude that just never. They're like, he didn't show any emotion or remorse. The dude didn't think he was going to jail because he didn't do anything wrong.
That's what the guy was asking him. He's like, you don't seem to be taking this seriously. He said, I didn't seriously think I would be convicted for a crime I did not commit.
Right.
He goes, how would you react? He said, of course I was casual. He goes, when they were asking you questions, you were so casual about it. He said, because I didn't think I had anything to worry about because I didn't do anything.
Right.
And that's what they always say, like, oh, you were so apathetic in the questioning, and everybody who's innocent's going to be apathetic and questioning. I'm not saying
Right.
that also serial killers and psychopaths can't also be apathetic, but
No.
they act anyway. This is what I told Jeff last night. I'm so fired up about this stuff. I wish that I could do more, but I'm also so emotionally sensitive. I would just be like crying and screaming at everybody and would get nothing done.
The true hero was his father, because his father, day one, when he went to jail, didn't stop until he got what he wanted. Like, did not stop. The dude became a detective. He was a self-taught detective, and he was actually going out and he found witnesses that could testify against the case to help him out. It's insane.
You know what's funny to me is this is a great case though, where the family that this happened to, they were educated. Like when you look at Stephen Avery, that case, they're very low education, like high functioning, but
Right.
like they're very, very low educated people.
Correct.
So of course they don't have the capacity to do that. I like to think that, like I told you, if something like that happened to you, yeah, the dad's reaction to me is normal. Like I would
Yeah.
go apeshit and obsessive, and that would be all I did was just try to prove that you were innocent. That'd be it. That'd be my life.
Yeah. I did the same
That's how
thing.
more people should be. They just don't have the know-how, or they don't even know where to start.
Yes. Rolling along, let's go ahead and get into gaming news.
Yay, gaming news. Apologies again if my microphone is acting up. That seems to be the cause, not the camera. But
I don't hear it.
I don't know. So
I have a live feed of your microphone.
something's going on.
It's not saying a thing.
We'll figure it out later. But anyway, so not a lot going on in gaming news. This is actually going to be a much shorter segment than normal. So pretty much more Google Stadia news. Like it's been nothing but a just constant train wreck after train wreck every single week. And the thing that has been coming out in the last week is that games are costing more for no reason. They're just charging $10 extra for a game.
See, I was wondering that's coming soon. That has to happen. Inflation, the games get usually it's a $10 increment. Period. Right now that's $60 for a standard game. It's going to be 70 soon. So are they just ahead of the curve?
Well, the thing though is people are getting mad because like I think it was the new Darksiders or something about Darksiders came out. $60 or $30 everywhere, 40 on Google Stadia. They're increasing the cost of games that are cheaper everywhere else.
They're trying to make the profit.
So people that are early adopters jumping on board with this great new idea, they're paying more now. And then also they actually have a subscription service, and they added Farm Simulator and something else to it. And the two games they added were also among the best sellers list. So everyone freaked out because the games they just bought are now free. And so Google had to issue out refunds, and it's been rocky. It's not been good. But yeah, so Google Stadia, I don't know. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, but it's failing.
I've got to try it out.
It'll be interesting because it's been, like we talked about in a previous week, it's been very hit or miss. Some people works great, others it's just a garbage fire. So
Lovely.
Mm-hmm. The other news, and this I thought, I think impacts me more than either of you guys, but, well, I should say impact, but Sony has officially pulled out of the handheld game. They said that the Vita is their last handheld. They have no plans on re-entering the market.
They rehashed the Vita like twice, didn't they?
No.
They didn't redo it. Yeah, they had the Vita for so long, but then recently, like last year, they were like, oh, we have PS Vita, this.
It might have just
PS
been
Pita. It was might be pita bread.
They might have been selling bundles. The Vita's been out for a long time.
Yeah.
The Vita's been out for like 8 years.
Vita.
And they said that like it had a good foundation, but like it never really took off. Nintendo crushed them in the handheld department. Sony tried making the case that no one cares about handhelds, and that's why they're pulling out of the market. But the Nintendo Switch is selling like hotcakes.
Children.
And the Switch Lite
Yes.
is also a dominant seller this holiday season. And that's the thing is, Sony's handhelds were never cheap. A Vita was like $300. I'm not paying the cost of a console for a tiny 5-inch screen.
I had a PSP a long time ago.
Yeah, so did I.
I used it, but I downloaded ROMs and played ROMs on it.
I mean, yep.
For like Sega Genesis and stuff. I didn't play like any PlayStation, PSP titles.
Yeah.
Ever. Not even once.
No, those things were great for that. I mean, you had to find someone who could hack it for you, but yeah, they were great little emulation machines. But yeah, that kind of covers it really in gaming news for me. I can just go ahead and go into my lame holiday buying guide for games.
Okay.
So I call it my lame holiday buying guide because I don't really have more than like 3 suggestions. And that is like, I tried to think of like, what could I, like if I wanted to recommend games, what would be good recommendations? And I thought about when I was a kid and I asked for games, I told my parents what I wanted. And if they bought something else, it was usually awful. Because there was one year we wanted Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo and we got Battleship for Super Nintendo. And it was not good. So
I want to get Battleship. I want to own that game. Like the board game.
Yes.
Love that game.
yeah.
Battleship's great.
But the Super Nintendo game was not so great.
Yeah.
But so
The movie wasn't good either.
no, good Lord. So like for saying like, oh, these games are great, really depends on your kid. I more have suggestions for potentially new console owners. So like if you're buying your kid a console this holiday, they don't know they have one. I got a few suggestions. So basically, I'll start with Nintendo. If you're getting someone a Switch this holiday season, it's their first Switch. They don't have one. Because it's Nintendo, it's usually the family-friendly stuff. You kind of know what the wheelhouse you're getting into. You're going to want, obviously, Mario Odyssey is one of the best games on there. Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart. You cannot go wrong with those games. Outside of that, you need to make sure you get Nintendo Online. It's $20 a year or $35 for a family plan if you have multiple Switches. That gives you like 40 free games with it, the old school Nintendo, Super Nintendo games. And it also allows you to play online. You can't do any online for free on Nintendo anymore. Those days are gone. They're like all the others, you got to pay now. So, yeah, if you're getting someone a Switch, get those. If you're not sure they really like necessarily Mario or the Nintendo first-party titles, you can't go wrong with an eShop gift card. There's like over 1,000 games you can get. They have amazing stuff. They have Fortnite's on there, Overwatch. I mean, they have shooters the Switch's library is so strong, it is staggering. That's why I couldn't come up with a list. They cover every genre there is. It's overwhelming with games. So that's how it is with the Switch. Also, I would recommend a second controller. So if you have someone in your family has a Switch, you cannot go wrong with buying them a controller. Because Switch still has couch co-op, so you're able to play Mario Kart in the same room with them. Like PlayStation, Xbox games, you don't really do that nowadays. No one really just sits on the couch and plays Call of Duty with each other anymore. With Nintendo, you still tend to do that. So go ahead and I would say that's good for the Switch. For Xbox, I mean, if someone wants an Xbox, I assume they own it by now. It's been around long enough, but the Xbox One S is now selling a discless system, and
That's stupid.
I mean, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, everything's digital.
I know, but I mean, it doesn't hurt. It's not like, because I have a PS4, I don't ever use the disc. Hardly ever. We watch The Room on it, but
yeah. So
it's nice to have that.
The discless version though, currently you can yeah.
Discless.
You can find it at places for about $170. So $170 for an Xbox. I mean,
Oh, that's not bad at all.
no, it's like that's a great deal. And with Xbox, I highly recommend Game Pass. This also goes for PC gamers. I have it. Game Pass goes both ways. It works on console and PC. Gets you all the Xbox exclusives. So it's I'm trying to remember. It's so like for PC only, it's $5 a month. For console only, it's $10 a month if you don't have Xbox Live. It's $15 a month if you want to make it an Xbox Live subscription and the games on console. So essentially, for the most expensive package, $15 a month will get you every Xbox exclusive there is. You don't need to then buy, if you're buying this for family, for a kid, or for someone, instead of having to buy them a new game throughout the year. And I believe you can buy it yearly. So it comes out to, averages, I think, around $60 a month, depending on the package, or $60 a year, depending on the package you get. You won't need to buy them games anymore. You just, here's a subscription. They get all the new games as they come out. So highly recommend that. And also, like I said, knowing how I was as a kid, if there was a game I wanted, I told my parents, I'm like, this is the game I want. Because if you get, like, not that I didn't appreciate games they got me, but if I was just like, I would like video games, please, I would have ended up with who knows what.
Yeah.
So I think most kids are very vocal about the games they want. So if they're not, or if they have everything and you're just looking for something because you're like, they love their Xbox, they didn't ask for any games, or you're looking for something, maybe a stocking stuffer if you just want to like give them a 3-month subscription or something, that one's really good. For PlayStation, it's kind of the same thing. The only recommendations I really have game-wise, and I haven't played these, I've just heard they're outstanding, is Death Stranding. Apparently is really good. It's a PlayStation exclusive. I heard good things about Control, which is multi-platform. Again, don't know much about those, so really it comes down to if the person you're thinking of, if that's their style of game, which, yeah. So it's hard to recommend that. But also, I'm going to push PlayStation Now. PlayStation's same thing, subscription service. It also works on PC. You get 800 games. That's $10 a month for 800 games that work on your PlayStation and your computer. And they don't have a division. Every game that works on the console works on your PC.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So on the console, you can actually download them locally for games that can't be downloaded and installed, because that's how they're allowing backwards compatibility. So I can play PlayStation 2 games, PlayStation 3 games, PlayStation 4 games, all on a PS4 or on my PC. So like a PS2 game, that's not actually backwards compatible, so it does the streaming thing.
Right.
So kind of what Google Stadia and these other services are trying to do. PlayStation's already doing that, and it works. Like I fired up 3 games on my PC. I was playing God of War on my PC.
That's awesome.
So it's, as long as you have reliable internet, it's great. And then even if your internet, it can be questionable at times, if you have an actual PS4, you can literally just go install game. It's local. You can play it, no problem. So that is my holiday gaming buyer's guide recommendation, is subscription services.
Yeah, and I can see a lot of people saying, fuck you, Dave, on that, because a lot of people are revolting against the subscription services.
It's not the death of the gaming industry, and like, because if they except for Microsoft, their first party exclusives are coming out day one on their service. Every other streaming service is not really doing day one releases for most of their stuff. Like if you sign up for PlayStation Now, you're not getting the newest PlayStation games. You're not getting Death Stranding. You're not getting when Spider-Man 2 comes out. That's not going to be on there.
Yeah.
You're getting stuff that's kind of, been around.
But how long does it take for them to take it and put it on there? Why would I want to spend $60 for something or just wait for it to come out on PS Now?
Well, see, and that's the thing is, like, for me, there are a lot of games that they'll come out and it'll be $60, and I'll go, I want to play it. I don't want to spend $60. So I will just wait. And then 6 months later, it's $20. It's $30. So I can either wait for it to go on sale, or eventually it could end up on a streaming service. Either way, I'm not paying full price. I'm not going to. And the thing is with the subscription service, the reason I'm recommending them is gifts. Is if I don't know what game, 100% what games you're into, and I know you have a PlayStation, I know you enjoy PlayStation, or even a PlayStation and a PC, I can say, here's a year subscription, 800 games. You're going to find something you're going to enjoy. You'll find stuff you can replay that you haven't thought of in years. And with it being on a new system with the HDMI hookups, if you're a streamer, content creator, that opens up being able to play like PlayStation 2 games where you would need video upscalers and all this other stuff to even be able to get the footage. So like, I think it's a really good deal for all of them. Even the Xbox one. Xbox, it's more for the exclusives, so it's not as game rich as PlayStation. But either way, I think it's worth it. For the cost of one game, you get these services for a year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, that's just my recommendation. So, yeah.
All right. Well, moving along. The only thing I had even remotely into gaming, I can always come back to that later on next week. But myself and Nicole, we were talking about planning a Christmas special on Twitch. It'll be like an all-day event. Or not all day,
I
but
saw this on
a block.
So I saw this on the show notes,
yes.
and I was thinking, I vaguely remember us saying something about this, and I don't remember what it was.
Oh, okay.
So what is it? I'm just as excited
You're just
as
as
everybody
excited, and you're
else.
part of it, and you don't even
Yeah.
remember. No, we didn't. I didn't come up with this when I was drunk. This was the next day.
When you were hungover.
Yes. But basically, so it'll be on Twitch, and we're going to do we'll be wearing Christmas sweaters or whatever. Maybe have eggnog, whatever we want to do. But regardless, we'll do some Christmas singing. We'll do some gaming, and just an all around good time for a day. And it'll probably be on Christmas Eve or something, because we don't have a lot going on Christmas this year.
Yeah, that's true.
So we planned on spending it with our online family. And I know a lot of people that...
Okay, I do remember saying that. I was like, we're
yes.
lonely for Christmas. We don't have any family. There's got to be somebody else on our streaming platforms that is also alone for Christmas.
And people will be off work, and we're not going to do it on Christmas or anything like that, but we're going to have a Christmas special for sure. The other night we did a karaoke session, but it wasn't like a Christmas special, but it's in the works. That's what I wanted to say. And I wanted to plug it because why not? But twitch.tv/jfabiano is where it will be. And I will put it on Twitter or something like that on my platforms where to find it. And it should be a good time.
Yeah.
That will be awesome.
Yes. So Dave whisks off here very soon. We got stuff for next week. We're going to wrap things up here today. And that's pretty much it for me. Unless you guys have anything else you wanted, any loose ends you wanted to tie up.
I got nothing, man.
No, I mean, it's one of those, even just general gaming news was a little dead this week just because I think with the holidays, everyone's just kind of focused on the holidays. I know a lot of people are, take vacation in December. So I think just things are moving kind of slow in the world right now. But that's good. I think people need to slow down every once in a while.
Yep.
100%. I'm trying to get something up here. Something we haven't had before, which you never know because it could just be something really bad, just straight up dubstep in our face, but we'll see.
Oh, get us with that bass.
But we'll see you guys next Monday. Enjoy your week ahead. We'll see you.
All right.
Bye.
Only the girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. Girls with their nails done.